Seattle Sounders, Cruz Azul, round of 16, first leg here in the 2025 Concacaf Champions Cup on a brisk night here in Seattle. Upper 40s Fahrenheit, 10-mile-per-hour winds, no threat of rain here this evening. Happy to have you along for the ride. Joe Malfa with you for the action. It is the first ever meeting between these two clubs. Sort of. They played in the late 90s in the previous iteration of the Seattle Sounders when they were still a part of lower division soccer in the United States. It was an 11-0 victory for Cruz Azul. That was a long time ago. Different era. These Seattle Sounders, 2022 winners of Concacaf Champions Cup. Cruz Azul, 6-time champions in their own right here in this tournament. This was one of the most attractive fixtures when you looked at the round of 16. Two former champions, two teams who are a threat to go on and win this thing this year, locking horns here in the round of 16. Seattle qualified as one of the highest ranked teams in the MLS standings this past year that did not qualify through a different method for this tournament. Again, the winners back in 2022. They're two-time MLS Cup title winners, one-time Supporter Shield winners, and four-time US Open Cup champions as well. A very full trophy cabinet for the Seattle Sounders. Same can be said for Cruz Azul. Such rich history they have in Liga MX. 25 total trophies won in club history. That includes 12 domestic trophies in Liga MX, most recently in 2021. Two decorated clubs from their respective leagues. Another instance of Liga MX against MLS here in Champions Cup. And that is exactly what it took for Seattle in 2022 when they were here at home beating Pumas in that final. So no strangers to success against Liga MX opponents. Same could be said for Cruz Azul. They've played 16 matches in Champions Cup against clubs from MLS, 10 wins, 4 losses, and 2 draws. Seattle not in great form to begin the MLS season. Very small sample size. They opened the season with a 2-2 draw at home against Charlotte FC, and then a 2-0 road loss against Real Salt Lake. Mixed within that, they had a very easy time with Antigua in the first round of Champions Cup, winning 6-2 on aggregate. Both legs identical 3-1 score lines. For Cruz Azul, a pretty similar story. They breezed through the opening round against Real Hope here in Concacaf Champions Cup. A 2-0 win and a 5-0 win in the first 2 legs that they played here in this tournament, just dominating Real Hope, the Haitian side, here in Champions Cup. And they're in good form in league play as well. Cruz Azul, 5 wins, 3 draws, 2 losses so far in the Clausura. They're sitting in 6th place, but only 3 points separating 3rd and 8th right now in a very tight Liga MX table. Cruz Azul started the season slow. Hopefully, in their eyes, Seattle could have the same sort of turnaround. Cruz Azul, in their first 3 matches this season, they opened up with 2 draws and a loss. Since then, 5 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. And including their Champions Cup triumphs, they're outscoring teams 19-7 in their dominant stretch that they've had as of late. So a slow start to Liga MX play. They picked it up with the momentum they garnered from Champions Cup and went from there. Seattle, a slow start to MLS play. 2 dominant showings in Champions Cup play. 2 teams who are both threats to go on and win this whole thing. 2 teams who have won it before. Seattle in 22, Cruz Azul 6 different occasions in their club's history. It looks like, and we'll get there in a moment, that Seattle is playing with a full deck of cards, but some players missing for Cruz Azul, something that could factor in here tonight. They don't have the depth on the bench they typically have, though it is a representative starting 11 for Cruz Azul. These teams are set to take the field out of the tunnel. We'll have lineups and kick in just a moment.
Please welcome Seattle Sounders FC and Cruz Azul for tonight's Concacaf Champions Cup.
Raucous environment as always here at Lumen Field in Seattle. Time to meet the starting 11 for both the Seattle Sounders and Cruz Azul. This Seattle Sounders team is just completely revamped this year in terms of the roster and the structure of it because of some off-season acquisitions. One of those we'll see in the starting 11 tonight. The back line, as always, one of the top defensive teams in MLS last year. Is the usual four of Nuhu, Reagan, Yamar, and Roldan. In midfield, again, all the familiar faces, but Paul Arriola, the newcomer to the group. Arriola, just 2 appearances in MLS, hasn't started in league play yet, but has 2 starts, 2 goals so far in Champions Cup. One of their trades, one of their acquisitions from FC Dallas in the offseason. The other being Jesus Ferreira, who is on the bench. We'll see if we see him later on in this match as well. Officiating crew led by Julio Luna of Guatemala, with Christian Alvarado of Guatemala as well, and Carlos Fernandez of Costa Rica. Rayon Radix of Grenada is your 4th official this evening. Captains meeting for the coin toss: Stephen Fry of the Seattle Sounders and Lorenzo Faravelli of Cruz Azul. Stephen Fry anchored the Sounders at the back in 2022 when they won this tournament. He won the Golden Ball, the Golden Glove, and was best 11 that year. In the VAR room, Tatiana Guzman of Nicaragua with Delia Bradley of Guatemala. He will be our eye in the sky in case it's needed. And the starting 11 for Cruz Azul: Mateus Bogusz will be up top. That is a name to watch for Cruz Azul. Along the back, it's a return to the 11 for Jorge Sanchez after he did not play in the first round against Real Hope. 47 caps Sanchez has for Mexico. And here is Bogusz up top for Cruz Azul. Had 1 start, 2 assists in the opening round against Real Hope. Just scored his first goal for Cruz Azul in their last match in the Clausura. Brilliant free kick it was. And Bogusz has been a thorn in the side of the Seattle Sounders. He came over to Cruz Azul this offseason for over $10 million of a reported transfer fee from LAFC. With his time at LAFC, Bogusz is 6-1 against the Seattle Sounders with 3 goals and 1 assist. We'll see if an old foe there, Bogusz, can do it again to this Sounders side. Pedro de la Vega starting to come into his own for the Sounders, had 3 goals in the opening round against Antigua. It's the Sounders from right to left in the green, Cruz Azul from left to right in the blue. Waiting for the whistle of Julio Luna to send us on our way. Scarves up in the stands. Some of the best supporters in MLS ready to witness round of 16 first leg action between the Seattle Sounders and Cruz Azul. Happy to have you along this evening. I'm Joe Malfa. Underway on a chilly but clear night here in Seattle. Never know what to expect in a tournament like this in the first leg. Is it very cagey? 2 teams who are on their way to or 0-0 it almost looks like. And maybe there's a late goal, sort of putting all their eggs in the basket of the second leg. Or is it a team that really does push the envelope and try to assert themselves, as we saw last night with LAFC beating Columbus Crew by a 3-0 scoreline? Earlier today, we saw something on the other end of that spectrum, where for the longest time it was 0-0 with really not much action between Chivas and Club America until a 77th minute goal won it for Chivas. And it is the winner of that Chivas Club America tie who will go on to face the winner of this tie between Seattle and Cruz Azul in the quarterfinal. Call goes against Pedro de la Vega. Free kick for Cruz Azul. De la Vega, the big acquisition of the Sounders last year. Injuries really took their toll. Never allowed him to get into a rhythm until late in the year, going into playoff time for the Sounders. He's been healthy to start this year. He's producing in Champions Cup. He's yet to start in MLS play. He's come off the bench twice, trying to make sure they ease him into this year with a congested early schedule here because of this tournament. De La Vega showing the spark, the reason that he was brought in. You hear those Azul chants. There is a very strong traveling contingent of supporters here in Seattle for Cruz Azul. All the makings of a top-notch environment here tonight in Seattle, for what could be a top-notch game between 2 contenders here in this tournament. Never quite know in a tournament like this who will be the teams that are truly contenders. On paper, you probably would not have looked at Herediano to be one of those teams, yet here they are in the round of 16, and they won tonight against the LA Galaxy. But these 2 teams in particular, circle them as legitimate threats to go on and win it all. Difficult draw for each of them, getting each other here in the round of 16, no doubt. Rusnak. Awkward touch from Roldan. Bogusz there pressuring. And back for Stefan Fry. Between Champions Cup in 2022 and then the last couple of years of Leagues Cup, Seattle's had some good success against teams from Liga MX as Vicente Sanchez looks on, head coach of Cruz Azul. Familiar in his own right with soccer in the United States, playing Dynamo, RGV Toros, and USL Championship. Young head coach here for Cruz Azul against the old wily coach Brian Schmetzer of the Seattle Sounders. One of the longest tenured coaches in MLS. He's been so successful with the Sounders. Knows what it takes to win in this tournament and is hoping to do it again. Here is Jorge Sanchez. Cruz Azul happy to have him back in the lineup here in Champions Cup. He's made 5 starts in the Clausura. Spent the bulk of his career with Club America. Last couple of years before Cruz Azul, he was over in Europe with Ajax and Porto. Here he is again, Sanchez for Bogusz. Nice move, Bogusz getting around and behind, plays it ahead, gets it back nearly on the back heel from Fernandez. Offside flag did come up late there. Shows you, though, Bogusz, what he could do in tight quarters. Dangerous player. And LAFC has been a thorn in the side of Seattle for a while. Seattle did overcome LAFC in the playoffs last year, but Bogusz was a big reason why LAFC had so much success against Seattle. 3 goals, 1 assist in the 7 meetings between the clubs where Bogusz appeared. Seattle will be happy to see him go after these 2 legs are done. Hopefully for Seattle in their eyes, it's sticking it back to Bogusz and getting through. Rusnak, Morris calling for it, almost split through. Rusnak intercepted by Faravelli. Gonzalo Piovi stepping up off the back line. And all the way back for Kevin Mier. Did not play in the first round for Cruz Azul. Started their 10 matches in the Clausura, 2 clean sheets. Handball called against Faravelli. Cruz Azul captain started both legs against Real Hope. Plenty of experience in his background, not a ton in Champions Cup, having just joined Cruz Azul last year. But Faravelli, almost 50 appearances between Copa Sudamericana and Libertadores in CONMEBOL. Montaño gave it away carelessly for Arriola. Now Roldan, Christian Roldan that is, feeding his brother Alex Roldan. So many of these names in the Seattle starting 11 were a part of this team when they won Champions Cup back in 2022. They have the core to go and do it again. Jordan Morris, part of that team, was best 11. Albert Rusnak, part of that team. Christian Roldan, part of that team and best 11. Alex Roldan made 8 starts in that title year. Yeimar was part of that team, made 5 starts in 2022. Jackson Reagan, a few appearances. Nuhu, part of that team and best 11. Stefan Fry, part of that team, best 11, Golden Ball, Golden Glove. All those players in this 11 again for Seattle. Organization that has undergone a bit of a transformation to a lot of the periphery names and talent, but the core mostly still intact. A lot of murmurs last year from a fan base that was growing a bit frustrated with the lack of splashy moves for the club. And Schmetzer remained steadfast all season long, understanding the bad luck they were dealt with injuries, mainly to this man, Pedro de la Vega, who was their big ticket acquisition. He stayed the course. Their season turned around late spring. They made it all the way to the Western Conference Final. Now this year they went out, they added Arriola, added Jesus Ferreira. And they are loaded and favorites in MLS once again. Bogusz looking through. Fernandez. Shot for a handball there. It was outside the box, so they cannot go back and look at this. And a bit inside the box, they could have gone to take a look if it was a handball against Obed Vargas, but outside the box, cannot look at it. Could have been a case for it if he was in the box. It was clearly outside. And even then, it would have been in that gray area. Did he or did he not actually make himself bigger? Corner coming, though, for Cruz Azul. First set piece of the evening for the visitors. Captain Stefan Fry may have to spring into action here early on. Will turn 39 in just over a month. Short off the corner, Faravelli drops it back. Gutierrez serves it, Fry didn't get there. Bouncing around, Jackson Reagan, who got there initially for Seattle, eventually into the hands of Fry. Good pace to start this game. Back and forth, these two teams not lollygagging around. Flag stays down for Arriola. It's cut off, though, by Piovi. Don defending. Campos plays it back. Served in by Gutierrez. The header from Fernandez wide. 10 minutes in. Cruz Azul finding some success in the attacking half. Nothing yet to speak of for the Seattle Sounders. And just about simultaneous kickoffs in this game, and Vancouver Whitecaps hosting Monterrey. The two home teams won earlier. Chivas 1-0 over Club America, and Ediano 1-0 over the LA Galaxy. Yesterday saw a 1-1 draw between Cincinnati and Tigres. 2-0 win for Pumas over Alajuelense. 3-0 win for LAFC over the Columbus Crew, and then tomorrow it is Cavalier against Inter Miami. Nuhu was basically swimming up the field, trying to keep his balance, eventually falls down. Free kick for Seattle. Getting heated a little bit here as well between Nuhu and Jorge Sanchez in the early going. That'll be a fun battle to watch all night. Sanchez, the right back for Cruz Azul. Nuhu, the left back for Seattle. Sanchez, a starter at the last World Cup for Mexico. Nuhu played every minute at that World Cup for Cameroon. Willardita. Give it away. De La Vega on the turn. Arriola, De La Vega. Arriola. Back for Christian Roldan. Jackson Reagan. Now Alex Roldan. Christian Roldan. Trying to thread the needle. Ill-advised. Nuhu steps to it. Briefly won it back for Seattle. Now Morris trying to disturb Piovi. Piovi springs a great ball toward Bogusz. Nuhu cuts it out. The first quarter hour is any indication, these do not look like two teams who are coming in, trying to feel each other out and thinking about 0-0 or 1-0 for the first leg of this fixture. These two teams look like they are going for it. Open play, end-to-end so far, a lot of intensity. The crowd, I think, helping to drive some of that. Pretty full, the lower bowl here at Lumen Stadium. Lumen Field, excuse me. It's a pretty good split, though, between the ardent Seattle supporters and a lot of Cruz Azul blue in the crowd. Mier sends it long. Campos knocked away by Roldan. Pressure from Seattle, well done by Cruz Azul, playing out of it. They go again through Fernandez. Bogusz, no float along that top line for Cruz Azul. And create from anywhere. Fernandez. Game of handball, but play on, says the referee. Now through for Morris. Flag stays down. Jordan Morris is deflected. Shout for handball on the ground. The defender Willard Dita. Did he handle it? Crowd thinks so. Jordan Morris claimed it initially. He was onside. Great ball split through it. It's tough. It looks like it hits the arm of the hand. Natural position there, though, as he's bracing himself. Dita. That would be harsh to award as a penalty. No check necessary. It's your first really good look for Seattle, splitting through to Morris, who could make history at any moment. In the Sounders' rich history in MLS going back to 2009. He has tied 86 goals in all competitions for the Sounders with Raul Ruidiaz, who has since departed the club. Morris, 2 goals in the season opener. 2-2 draw against Charlotte put him level on goals with Ruidiaz. So the next he scores will put him at the top of the Sounders list in all competitions with 87. So a historic goal on the horizon for Jordan Morris. Almost had it there. Not meant to be, not yet at least. Played in by Campos. Ogush lurking. Glanced away by Nuhu. Roldan trying to spring Jordan Morris. Cut off by Piovi and all the way back for Miera. Space for Fernandez on the turn. Bogusz was calling for it between the lines. Sanchez had just stopped his run as the ball was played. Great initiative, though, from both of these teams. De La Vega. There's Obed Vargas. Morris went left, ball came right. Some familiar faces on the other side for Obed Vargas in this game. 19-year-old, began his career in the youth system for the United States, filed his one-time switch to Mexico. Just recently made his first appearance for Mexico. Teammate of Jorge Sanchez. 4-3. Won by Rusnak. It's a high line of pressure for Seattle. It's given Cruz Azul something to think about. Rusnak. Roldan. Kept it in play, Roldan. Oh, and now the whistle goes. And it was out for a throw late there. The referee did look back to his assistant referee to see. Chipped over the top by Rusnak. Gets a thumbs up from Morris. Good idea. Albert Rusnak, incredibly productive 2024 season in MLS. Had 10 goals and 16 assists for the Sounders. One of 5 MLS players, active MLS players that is, with over 50 goals and over 50 assists in his career. 38 caps for Slovakia as well. Key contributor he's been in the past in Nations League. Pulling the strings in the midfield for the Sounders. Areola. Possession right now, 60-40 in Cruz Azul's favor. Shots are one apiece. Areola. Vargas. Back for Reagan. And Nuhu. Here's Yamar coming off another best 11 season in MLS. Roldan. De La Vega starts his run. Christian Roldan feeds it that way. Fronted by Orozco. Throw for Seattle. Fed through by Vargas. Again looking for Morris. Morris closing, forcing Mieta to play. Morris almost taking it away from Sanchez. Mieta closed down by De La Vega. So many green jerseys in the attacking half, pressuring still. Bogusz dropping very deep to help out here. Struggling to get it across midfield right now, Cruz Azul. Seattle retreating just a bit now after that frenzy on the press. Dida takes his space, the center back ranging forward. Oh, free kick in a terrific spot here for Cruz Azul. Fernandez draws the foul. This is one of those where it's exactly where you want it. Dead center of the field, so you can go either side of the goalkeeper if you want. Close enough where it's well within shooting distance, but far enough that you can get it safely over the wall and under the bar without it being an issue. Conference over the ball as far as who's going to take it right now. Gonzalo Piovi, Mateusz Bogusz seem the two most intent. Bogusz just scored a free kick last match for Cruz Azul from nearly this spot. Brilliant free kick it was. Montano, Piovi there as well, but coming off that free kick he just scored, Bogusz. Have to imagine this is his strike. If he can get it up and over the wall. Stefan Frei starts on that left side of the goal. Bogusz eyeing it up. Bogusz right into the wall. Shout for a handball. Referee all over it, waves it off. Bogusz still pressuring. Finally cleared by Yamar. It's being held up here just in case. Nothing initially seen by Julio Luna, who was standing right over it. Let's see. It hits hand, but it's an unnatural outstretch, making yourself bigger. Does it meet all that criteria? Play on. Bogusz. Out for Sanchez. "25 minutes come and gone. Still 0-0. First leg, round of 16. Seattle Sounders, Cruz Azul, 2025 Concacaf Champions Cup. Glad to have you along this evening. Joe Malfa with you from Lumen Field in Seattle. In the Concacaf Club rankings, which just had an update this past week, Cruz Azul, the 4th ranked team. Seattle Sounders, the 11th ranked team. It's not the highest ranked matchup so far that we've seen in this round. That belongs to Columbus Crew LAFC, number 1 versus number 5 that we saw last night, based on the club rankings. But 2 top 11 teams here battling it out in this one, based on the rankings. Bogusz. Sanchez cutting in. Initially past Arriola. Helped out now, potentially by Roldan, and a free kick coming out of the corner here for Seattle. Arriola wanted it back, taken down. Referee thought about it. Arriola's irate that he did not get that call. And he has a gripe, big time. Arriola, no stranger to Liga MX competition. Spent the first few years of his career with Tijuana. Came up through their youth setup from Chula Vista, California. Went to Tijuana, began his career there. Over 100 appearances in Liga MX before his move to MLS. Through now. Gutierrez won't get there. Obed Vargas. A free kick for Cruz Azul. Neymar upset. So was Arriola. Seeing what wasn't called on the other end versus what's called here. Inconsistency there, seemingly frustrating to Seattle at the moment. La Vega took an awkward deflection there, but almost favorable anyway for Seattle. Does end up at the feet of Arriola. Nuhu. Alex Roldan feeds his brother. Christian Roldan back for Neymar. Nuhu was wrong-footed there. Vargas fouled. Bailed out. Could have been a dicey moment for the Sounders. Again, Cruz Azul coming into this in good form. After starting the Clausura with 2 draws and a loss, they've been great. In all competitions, 7 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw in their last 9. Outscoring teams 19-7 in that stretch. And defensively, Cruz Azul, over the last 3 games, they've conceded just once. It came on a penalty. They have found their groove. Tough to say the same for now for Seattle. By no fault of their own, just small sample size. They dominated in Champions Cup against Antigua. Struggle in MLS play. Flag stays down here for Fernandez. Forced wide by Nuhu and Neymar together. Fernandez. Bogusz. Bogusz flips it wide. Campos. Former teammates, those two at LAFC. Bogusz and Campos, and Fry will settle it down. Seattle's played 18 matches in their history against clubs from Liga MX. 6 wins, 8 losses, 4 draws, but most importantly in their eyes, the triumph over Pumas in the 2022 final. Cruz Azul, 16 matches in Champions Cup against MLS clubs. They've had good success, 10 wins, 4 losses, 2 draws. First time meeting in the modern era of the Sounders. They met back in the late 90s in the previous iteration of the Sounders in USL. Different story that. Before they were a first-team side in MLS. Cruz Azul won that 11-0. A little bit different here tonight. Piovi, Farabelli, Jorge Sanchez, attempted clearance by Arriola, one right back by Cruz Azul. Sanchez, Intercepted by Nuhu. 10 to go in this first half. Good back and forth we've seen between the Sounders and Cruz Azul. The intensity's there. The vibes are high. It's been a fun first 35 despite the scoreless nature. Very tightly contested. Montano creating space for Bogusz. Now Sanchez. Centering, cleared by Vargas. Ben Vargas, the 19-year-old, so much experience for a player of his age. Made his debut back in 2021. He was 15 years old and 351 days. Third youngest debut at the time in MLS history. Now the senior international for Mexico after switching from the United States, where he was originally captain at the youth level. Filed his one-time switch with FIFA. Tasked with helping defend the corner. Clipped in by Faravelli. And cleared by Arriola. Cruz Azul continued to outpossess Seattle, controlling the tempo. Just about 60-40. Fed to Dira. Just wonder what it'll look like in the late stages. Cruz Azul, not quite their normal firepower on the bench. A lot of their youth players on that bench tonight, or a few of them at least. And if they're not regular youth players for Cruz Azul, they are young players who are just getting their first licks with the first team. Missing a lot of their key depth players. Some days starters, the likes of Yorgos Giacomakis, familiar face for MLS fans tuning in, former Atlanta United man, sold to Cruz Azul. With pieces like that missing for Cruz Azul, 7 players in all reported to have not made the trip. So they're just nursing to full health, an eye toward league play and next week. Big one on the weekend for Cruz Azul, home against Monterrey. That giant matchup sandwiched in between these two legs against Seattle. So you wonder as this game goes along if Cruz Azul more and more content to try for a draw as things go on, knowing their limitations in terms of fresh legs and experience late in the game. On the flip side, does Seattle grow into the game? They can bring on somebody like Jesus Ferreira. You almost wondered on a night like this if there was a method of the madness of Brian Schmetzer. Hold that thought for a moment. Bogusz off the quick turnover. Fernandez. Jackson Reagan defending. Fernandez still lays it off. And Yeimar clears. You wonder if there was a method to the madness of Brian Schmetzer. Maybe saving a player like Jesus Ferreira for later on in that event of Cruz Azul having tiring legs and having more inexperienced players at their disposal. They don't really have that ability to bring on experience and fresh legs late. It's either keep your experience out there or get fresh legs out there, one or the other. So it's an opportunity still for Seattle to take advantage of that in the second half. De La Vega. Nuhu was asking for Fry to come out and get it. Fry read it differently. Still in play down in the corner. Arriola clears. And a free kick for Cruz Azul. First card of the match coming out as well. Albert Rusnak in the book. Did he get the forearm or elbow up? Oh, yes. At the end of that, whips out the left arm. Montano stands over it. Left-footed in-swinger on the way. So difficult to deal with for a keeper if it's placed properly here. All it takes is a quick little glance from any attacking player. Montano puts it into that dangerous area. Defensive header from Roldan out for a corner. Heated discussion going on down in the corner about the ball placement of all things here. The assistant referee not taking too kindly to what was said by the captain, Lorenzo Faravelli. All's well that ends well. In swinger, and it's headed away by Yamar. Throw for Cruz Azul. 3 to play in this first half. Raucous environment here at Lumen Field. Stadium home to the Seattle Sounders, Seattle Seahawks, and Seattle Reign. Smattering of blue in the crowd tonight. Really good traveling contingent for Cruz Azul. And all the home supporters, of course, for the Sounders. It's made for a fun environment. Energetic end-to-end game despite the lack of a goal for now. De La Vega trying to break free and change that. Slowed down by Jesus Orozco. Now Vargas. Here's Roldan. Picks out the run of Arriola. Paul Arriola centers. Nobody there. Put it behind Morris, but too far out in front of Rusnak. Roldan. De La Vega. De La Vega looking for Morris over the bar. Climbing the ladder, but could not snap it down. Again, his next is a history maker for the club. Currently sitting tied for first with Raul Ruidiaz, 86 goals in all competitions, most in Sounders history. Ruidiaz has departed the club, so it's up to Jordan Morris. A record that no doubt will belong to him. Just a matter of when that historic goal comes for Jordan Morris. De La Vega almost splits through the two defenders. Goal kick coming. Told there will be 2 additional minutes here at the end of this first half. De La Vega last year signed for a club record $7.5 million transfer fee. Didn't really live up to it. 1 goal, 1 assist, but a lot of that was due to injury. Just could never. Start of the year with some injury woes, got healthy, then hurt again, and just continued to have these setbacks. But he started to find a good, healthy rhythm late in the year. Production started to climb. He looked more and more dangerous, even though the goals and assists maybe necessarily didn't pop up on the stat sheet. Jackson Reagan commits the foul here. Maybe fortunate to not end up in the book. That's what Cruz Azul is asking for right now. They didn't make much of a play at the ball. Just stopped what could have been a transitional moment. Dita. Could be the final opportunity brewing here in this half for Cruz Azul. 30 seconds to go in this first half. Bogusz. Montano. Wins it back for Cruz Azul. Still looking for it was Orozco, and Seattle who comes away with it. Vargas. Roldan clears. Out of play for a throw. 2 minutes come and gone. And there is the whistle to end half number one. Still scoreless in Seattle. 0-0 between the Sounders and Cruz Azul. First leg of their round of 16 tie here in the 2025 Concacaf Champions Cup. Two former champions of this tournament. Sounders in 2022. Cruz Azul 6 times overall, most recently in 2014. We are one half into this round of 16 matchup. It's been tight, it's been intense, and more to come in Seattle. Exciting first half it was between these two sides. Didn't have anything to show for it in terms of the score sheet. Back and forth they went. Track meet between the boxes. It's just in the boxes where things broke down then for both sides. Scoreless between Seattle and Cruz Azul. Apologies for the technical difficulties here. Joe Malfa with you from Lumen Field in Seattle. Back and forth these teams went in the first half. A lot of it between the boxes. It was in the attacking third that things seemed to break down a bit. But it was not your typical 0-0 first leg, first half that you sometimes see. Cagey chess match between teams. These teams were clearly going for it. There was a level of intensity to that first half. We'll see if the goal comes at some point in half number 2. Early set piece here for Seattle. Rusnak swings in the corner, headed away. Didn't get it past the first man, Lorenzo Faravelli. Right back in for Roldan. Roldan back post off the crossbar. As he runs back up the field, Nuhu can't believe it looking skyward. Second time that's happened now for Seattle here tonight. First it was Morris in the first half, now Nuhu in the second, where they rose above the rest, but just couldn't keep it down. No changes made by either side at the half. Reminder of the yellows. Albert Rusnak for Seattle, and Gabriel Fernandez did get one walking off the field at halftime for something he said to the referee. So not a yellow card you would have seen in the first half came at halftime. So one yellow card apiece. Stefan Fry gets it wide for Vargas. He gives it away. Obed Vargas trying to avoid committing a foul here. Referee played advantage, never really materialized. Cruz Azul ends up keeping it alive though. Omar Campos now back for Jesus Orozco. Piovi. Dida. Faravelli. Knew who intercepts, reads it well. Cruz Azul dominated their opening round with Real Hope of Haiti. 7-0 aggregate. Seattle just about as dominant over Antigua. Guatemala 6-2 on aggregate. Slip through, in behind, Areola foot race. Left loose, empty net, De La Vega! A celebration cut short by an offside flag. Was it Areola offside in the first place? Kevin Miera with the very risky play in goal. Got it all wrong. De La Vega and an open net and finished it off, but Areola offside in the buildup. That's what they're looking at. Looks to be leaning just off Areola. Kevin Miera had a couple of those moments in the first half where he was very, very risky, shall we say, with the ball at the back, with the likes of Jordan Morris pressuring. The offside call was just confirmed. We'll see if he's as adventurous next time, though. Kevin Miera let off the hook by the Areola offside. Orozco. Bogusz. And Jordan Morris comes away with it. It depends just which angle you look at. It's so close. Remember, the arm doesn't count. That the arm was outstretched from Jorge Sanchez. It's any part of the body that can legally play the ball. So you draw that line right at the shoulder. Back for Orozco. Miera. Orozco, nudge in the back. Faris says play on. Picked up by Fernandez. Gutierrez. Montano. It's Gutierrez. Controlling possession again here, Cruz Azul in the second half, as they mainly did in the first. Bogusz dropping in deeper. Has that license to freelance for Cruz Azul. Just helped create any which way. Had 2 assists in his Champions Cup debut for Cruz Azul against Real Hope. De La Vega muscles off a defender. Ran out of room though with Vargas. Nuhu. There's Arriola to the end line. Arriola, the header just glanced off the top of Roldan's head. De La Vega whistles it through. Roldan. De La Vega. To the end line. De La Vega swings it back. Roldan won't get there. Left short by De La Vega. Hospital ball. A lot of firepower on that bench for Seattle. Jesus Ferreira was the left side of your screen there with the jacket on. Big acquisition in the offseason. See if we see him in this second half. Miera just chips it through for Orozco. Could also see Georgie Manungu, one of the best 1v1 dribblers in MLS he's becoming. Gutierrez. Bogusz. Faravelli. Numbers here for Cruz Azul. Flag stays down for now. And it's a corner. Seattle was waiting for a delayed offside flag that never came. Corner for Cruz Azul. As I talk about the bench for Seattle, again, it's a very short bench for Cruz Azul. A couple of players who do feature with some regularity as starters or key guys off the bench, but a lot of young players who are called up from the reserve side, or players who have gotten their first taste of the first team, but not much experience. 7 overall players missing, didn't make the trip. Just trying to make sure they're at full health. Monterrey this weekend and the second leg next week at home. Handball against Cruz Azul. And the moment gone. Roldan, anchor he's been for Seattle since 2015, a decade now. And a free kick for Cruz Azul. Seattle growing frustrated now. Some of the fouls there being whistled for. Roldan felt that was shoulder to shoulder. Bogusz. Approaching the hour mark here in Seattle, still scoreless. between the Sounders and Cruz Azul. Joe Malfa with you for the action. Lumen Field on a brisk night in Seattle. This game has lacked in goals. It's had an intensity and an action back and forth. Not all 0-0s are built the same. If Cruz Azul with a limited roster, though, could come on the road and earn a scoreless draw, go back home to Mexico next week, they would feel as if they emerge with a victory, even if it's 0-0. Onus really on Seattle to make something happen here in this second half. Campos, Bogusz, Orozco. When will these managers dip into the benches as well? No subs yet as the clock reads 60, 30 minutes remaining. Bogusz. Launched long by Arriola into the path to Jordan Morris. Trying to muscle off Willard Dito. It's been a good battle all night between these two. Dito wins that one. 27-year-old Colombian center back. 2 appearances for Colombia, the last coming in a World Cup qualifier back in the fall. Roldan. Vargas. It's interesting watching those two play together, considering Obed Vargas is a young player that Brian Schmetzer has compared to a young Christian Roldan. Vargas gets to learn alongside him in this midfield, still at 19 years of age. Already in his 4th year as a pro. Well, you can understand where some of the frustrations are coming from now for Seattle. From the first half where the referee was letting these two teams play, to now a lot of little things like this being whistled. That's really nothing there. Bogusz stands over it and delivers. Cleared by Nuhu. And all the way back for Mier. A change being readied by each side. Brian Gamboa set to come on for Cruz Azul. Jesus Ferreira for Seattle. Obed Vargas. Rusnak drives it through. Arriola latches on. Morris peeling to the back post. Arriola looking for Morris. It's over him. When this Sounders attacking unit starts to click, they are going to be among the most dangerous in MLS. the front four tonight of Arriola, Rusnak, Morris, and De La Vega. It's a strong front four in its own right. Now you add Jesus Ferreira into the mix. They have the depth to withstand any injuries, the depth to rotate players and bring an ace in like Jesus Ferreira off the bench, or on a given day maybe it's flipped where Ferreira is starting and De La Vega is coming in, as it's been in MLS play. They have plenty of firepower, Seattle. The argument here for Cruz Azul is just wondering why Jackson Reagan has not been booked yet. He's had a couple of these instances now where he stopped the promising attack. Yellow card is shown to Vicente Sanchez, the Cruz Azul head coach. Frustration starting to mount now from both sides with our referee, Julio Luna of Guatemala. For Cruz Azul, it's wondering why certain cards haven't been shown. For Seattle, it's wondering why some ticky-tack borderline fouls have been called, so many of them at least. Something to keep an eye on if Julio Luna loses any sort of control over this game. Here are the substitutions. Bogusz is not happy to be coming off. You can see it in his reaction. He's still pleading with his manager. Breeze is by him. Brian Gamboa replaces. On the other side is Jesus Ferreira on and Pedro De La Vega off. He also does not seem to be happy coming off for Seattle. Jesus Ferreira, acquired by a trade this offseason. Had 2 assists against Antigua. Yet to score for Seattle at 5 goals, 6 assists. And what was a down year for him last year in Dallas, injuries didn't help. Dallas's overall struggles did not help. MLS Best 11 and All-Star in 2022. Started in the round of 16 in the last World Cup for the U.S. against the Netherlands. Feels like he's been around forever because he started off so young, Ferreira. Still just 24 years of age. Here's Ferreira's first touch. This goes back with it for Yamar. Here's Rusnak settling. See a blue jerseys win it back for Cruz Azul, and they look to go. Montaño. Piovi. Gamboa. Well, red intercepted by Roldan. Ends up deflecting here for Jordan Morris. In behind, Jordan Morris! Off the post! Picked up by Vargas. 20 minutes to go. Roldan. Christian Roldan for Rusnak. Back for Alex Roldan. Here's Campos. There's another look. Morris tiptoeing the line. Oh, it just trickled over the outstretched hand of Mier. And off the post, hit it square, where it came right back out. That could have easily pinged off and in. Spin on it, carried it back out. Oh, so close for Seattle. Well, for the control that Cruz Azul has had possession-wise, just about 60-40. Now Seattle making the most of their opportunities. Out shooting Cruz Azul 6-4, and they've twice hit woodwork. Twice in this half. Morris almost found it again. Piovi clears. Ferreira. Roldan couldn't handle it. Rusnak. Space for Rusnak. Options as well. Looking for Roldan, and it's just wide. Alex Roldan sneaking in behind. Not a vaunted goal scorer by any stretch. Only 4 in his MLS career. Georgie Manungu will be the next one to enter. Presumably this for Paul Arriola, we'll see. Manungu really came on last year for the Sounders as a regular, be it off the bench or as a starter. Debuted in May, ended up making 10 appearances, a goal and an assist. Assistant player off the bench that Brian Schmetzer ended up having faith in as a starter. He's shown that knack for going 1v1 in the dribble again this year. Campos. Trying to turn the corner on Roldan, who defended it well. Sent long again. Morris. Mier comes out and chests it. He's been adventurous all night. One time paid for it, but the offside flag negated the goal. Manungu getting set to check in. Told it'll be for Arriola, as expected. Manungu had an assist against Antigua in the first leg and an assist in the opener against Charlotte in MLS play. Off to a good start this year. Orozco. Faravelli. They haven't had that same bite to the attack. Cruz Azul in the attacking third in this second half. Seattle coming on stronger later here, looking for that winning goal. They have to be the side with the greater sense of urgency, as we'll see that sub now, Manungu for Arriola. Cruz Azul will be perfectly happy leaving here with a 0-0 draw. They know the task next week then simple. Just win at home by any scoreline and you're going through. Nil-nil would feel like a win for Cruz Azul. They've been in top form. They've been tough to score against. 3 straight matches where they have, or rather over the last 3 matches, conceded just once. Cruz Azul. Here's Manungu. And that 1 goal they conceded in the last 3 matches was a penalty. So coming up on the end of this one, it would be 4 straight matches for Cruz Azul in all competitions without conceding from the run of play, if they can hold on. Here's Manungu. Rusnak seemed to think that was intended for somebody else. Now Gamboa, the only sub who's come on so far for Cruz Azul. Don't know how many more they'll make. Again, very light bench, and the guys they have are on the inexperienced side of the spectrum. So who do you turn to if you're Vicente Sanchez, or you just ride the guys who are out there for 12 more minutes? Campos. Montaño. Turning into space here, Gutierrez fires it right at Fry. That was a nice pocket of open real estate for Gutierrez. Not the shot he was looking for in the end. Over the top for Ferreira. Flag stays down. Ferreira plays the early ball across. Manungu gets there. Morris had also gone for it. Nobody there. Then to get on the end of it from Manungu. Piovi. Nice dummy through. Intelligent play by Fernandez. Now it's Campos. Has Orozco out wide. Campos goes that way. Montano switches. Campos. Orozco. Delivering, headed away by Nuhu. Faravelli. Willardita. Both sides preparing another change. Told it'll be Paul Rothrock for Christian Roldan on the Seattle side. More in a moment. Minungu. Comes all the way across to Ferreira. Alex Roldan for Christian Roldan. On the Cruz Azul side, Luca Romero will be coming on for Andres Montano. Minungu cutting in. Minungu had it blocked. This crowd trying to will the Sounders to a winning goal late here at home. At this point, if you're Cruz Azul, even if that late goal comes in for Seattle, you still have to feel pretty good about yourselves going back home. You ask any manager in a traditional two-legged tie like this where away goals do matter. Fed through nearly for Ferreira. If you ask any manager, 0-0 or a 1-0 loss, you're okay with that. You'd obviously rather not lose. But if it's 0-0 or 1-0, you're indifferent toward it. You know that you're just going to take care of business then at home. You have an opportunity to go through, especially Cruz Azul with the players they're missing. Can they steal, though, a goal and a win late? That would change things drastically. Goal kick. And here are the subs. Oh, no, they got it in quickly. We're trying to get the subs in right there. Both teams. Seattle put it right back into play. Did not allow it to happen. Minungu giving chase. Cut off by Dina. Back for Mier. Roldan. Try from distance here is gobbled up by Mier, denying Vargas. It was sloppy in the end from Mier, but he did enough to push it wide. Nuhu. Roldan takes it. Alex Roldan. Rusnak almost pounces to it. Piovi comes away. Ferreira. 5 minutes remaining plus stoppage here in Seattle. Are we destined for 0-0? Here come those changes finally. Moment just hadn't come up yet. Montano off, Romero on for Cruz Azul. Rothrock on, Rusnak off for Seattle. That'll be all for Seattle. They've only used 3 subs, but this is their 3rd and final window. Cruz Azul have used 2 subs in 2 windows. Sort of a throwback night to the old days of just 3 substitutions being allowed. Both these managers riding, for the most part, their starting units, and for a long time. Sometimes in a tight game like this, you don't want to upset the chemistry. That could be the difference if you get the calculation wrong. Neither side have really shown any issues in this game. Cruz Azul have played their style and gone to their script. Seattle have played their style and gone to their script. Better of the chances have gone Seattle's way, but they are the ones who need to be the aggressors here at home. Cruz Azul would be content with a 0-0 road draw in the first leg. Manungu trying to work end line, stumbled over the ball, out for a goal kick. Whoever comes through this tie gets Chivas Club America. Whoever comes through that tie in the quarterfinal. It's 1-0 Chivas tonight in that affair. 0-0 here with time dwindling. Vargas. Christian Roldan. Manungu. One clean lead by Campos. Campos. Faravelli. All the way back for Miera. Into the 90th minute here in Seattle. Gamboa couldn't field it for Cruz Azul. Now it's Fernandez. Faravelli, the captain. Space opening up here. Try from distance again. Saved by Fry. Same as it was earlier, with space just opening up for Gutierrez. Looking long for Morris. Miet has it. Three minutes of added time at the tail end of this one. A yellow card here for Faravelli. Lumped in off the free kick. Reagan tries to center. Brings it down. Jackson Reagan. Final 2 minutes of stoppage time. Cruz Azul at this point just content to keep guys behind it. Get to 0-0. Manungu trying to break free. Piovi back for Miet. And back for Piovi again. They've been so calm at the back. Twice Seattle's hit the woodwork. Once it was Morris, once it was Nuhu. Cruz Azul will make two final changes. Amaury Morales comes on for Gabriel Fernandez. And it's Alexis Gutierrez departing for Luis Gutierrez. Brief cameos here at the end of this one, as I've alluded to throughout the evening. Just young players, inexperienced players for Cruz Azul. Chance to stall a little bit with those subs here late. But you don't want those inexperienced players out too long in the crucible of this setting. And if you don't trust them yet, if you're Vicente Sanchez. Here's Manungu. Trying to work end line, and he wins a corner. Could very well be the last play of the match. Is there a winner in it for Seattle? Jesus Ferreira will take. 3 minutes of stoppage come and gone. Ferreira knotted down. Cruz Azul looking to clear. Manungu wins it back for Ferreira. Ferreira gets there. Whistle could be coming any moment now. Manungu serves, deflected. Cleared by Cruz Azul. Out to midfield, they have numbers here. Ball just dies with the backspin on the turf. And there is the final whistle. 0-0 at the end of this first leg between Seattle and Cruz Azul. All to play for next week when the series shifts to Mexico. Two teams who are legitimate threats to go on and win it all. The 2022 champion Seattle Sounders, the 6-time champions Cruz Azul. They cancel each other out tonight, 0-0 here at Lumen Field.
Felicidades, fue nombrado como jugador del partido. ¿Cuán importante fue para Cruz Azul poder sacar este encuentro, por lo menos llevarse un empate del Seattle Sounders?
Buenas noches. Bueno, felicitar a mis compañeros por el esfuerzo que hemos hecho hoy. En una cancha difícil, con un rival que también nos puso el partido difícil. Creo que fue un partido muy intenso, nos lo disfrutamos muchísimo y bueno, ahora queda recuperar bien y afrontar el partido que queda local.
Como bien lo dijo, fue un encuentro bastante difícil para el Cruz Azul. El Sounders pues presionó bastante. ¿Cómo enfrentar ahora el próximo encuentro ya en casa la otra semana?
Bueno, nosotros vamos paso a paso. Primero es poder llegar a la Ciudad de México y recuperarnos de la mejor manera. Tenemos un partido importante el sábado por liga, así que vamos a pensar primero en Monterrey y bueno, ya después de ese partido prepararemos lo que será el partido de vuelta de Concacaf.
¿Cómo recibe ese premio como mejor jugador del encuentro?
Bien, mucha tranquilidad, creo que el premio es a todo el equipo que hizo un gran trabajo hoy. Nos vamos satisfechos realmente porque sacamos un resultado positivo dentro de todo, sacamos el arco en cero y bueno, ahora queda definir la serie en casa.
Hi, please give us your appreciation of this match.
Yeah, difficult game. Cruz Azul plays really well. They have a mixture of playing through us and playing direct. Felt like we missed a few opportunities, and that's Concacaf for you. You need to take advantage of your home games, and it's going to be difficult on the road now.
The team dropped 3 important points at home. How to face the next match?
Yeah, we look at this series as a 2-game leg, and it was really important for us to get a result here at home. It's not easy playing in Mexico City, and so we're left a little frustrated having gotten a goal called back and then hitting one off the post. So lots to be positive about, but frustrating nonetheless. Yeah, thank you.
A look at the full-time stats from this 0-0 draw between Seattle Sounders and Cruz Azul. It was pretty tight down the line when all was said and done. Shots on target ended up neck and neck, 5-4. Possession ended up getting a lot closer as the game went on, and Cruz Azul sat back deeper. Seattle did hit the post twice. They did have the better of the chances. They did have a goal called back for an offside, and it finishes 0-0 in the first leg. It was a terrific environment here at Lumen Field this evening for Seattle Sounders and Cruz Azul. Round of 16, first leg action, 2025 Concacaf Champions Cup. One of the giants of Liga MX against one of the best and most consistent in MLS. They ended up in a 0-0 draw, but it wasn't for a lack of intensity and action and opportunities. Both sides had plenty of those. Seattle had more. Jordan Morris, the author of a couple of them. This was his best look in the first half. Just rose a bit too late, was underneath it, sent it over the bar. Now second half, Roldan would find Nuhu, similar situation where he jumped almost a little bit early and got it while he was coming down off the crossbar, left it high. That was the first time they hit the woodwork tonight. They would hit it again later on. Morris would be involved that time. And Morris here off the deflection would get in behind. And this is where he would hit his post. He beat the keeper, Mier, but he ricochets it off the post. The spin on it, you would expect it almost 9 times out of 10 to carry off the post and go in with where it hit the post, but it stays out. That was as close as they would come. Again, Seattle. Albert Rusnak, another creative night in the midfield, almost found Roldan here. As the game wore on, Cruz Azul sat deeper and deeper. Seattle pushed harder and harder, being the home side here in this first leg, wanting to get that result, knowing how difficult it could be now to go on the road after this 0-0. Take down Cruz Azul. Another try here from Vargas, gobbled up by Mier, and that would do it. Finish 0-0 between the Sounders and Cruz Azul. Coming up on the end of the first week of round of 16 play here. Tomorrow night it's Cavalier and Inter Miami. That'll wrap up the first pass through of round of 16 games. Catch all the second legs next week. That'll do it for now from Lumen Field in Seattle. For the crew that makes this possible, I'm Joe Malva saying so long for now. It finishes 0-0 between the Sounders and Cruz Azul. Good night, everybody.